Alrighty, welcome into the Gary Ayd Show here on the Cave, cavetalkradio.com and the Cave Talk Radio app. Great to have you aboard. Gary Ayd here with you. And we got a great show in store for you tonight. A lot of good stuff. We got the Bombers. We got Doug Rush, a new guest to the show. He is a longtime Giants reporter, has been published in many known publications, including Future Report. Recently had one of his tweets retweeted by Saquon Barkley. So we'll talk all matters of Giants football with him coming up at 10:45. We have a lot to get to in hour two, including the top five. So a lot to get to today. Let's get right into it. So I teased it yesterday as far as the opening rant. We as a society are very siloed at the moment. We're very much in our own kind of worlds, and we have this concept that if I disagree with you, I must be threatened by you. If I disagree with you, I must avoid you. I must silence you. I must cancel you. This is particularly true from a perspective of the political left and their tactics. And it's very interesting that one of the known proponents in the sports world of that side of the equation, Stephen A. Smith, and one of the known proponents from the other side of the equation, formerly of the sports world, now more general talk, but still heavily connected to sports, Clay Travis. It's very interesting that the two of them got together on Stephen A's No Mercy podcast. And no is spelled K-N-O-W. So no as in knowledge, not no like don't show. So it's the opposite, which is a good name. And something, a meeting in an interview like this, which was over an hour, is really, to me, a return to the value of sports. The true value of sports to society is one of unification, one of the common water cooler, a common language, a common passion, a common interest, things that we can be brought together by. There's almost none of that left in society, and sports has been pushed to the brink in this respect as well in recent years. But it's still, more so than anything else, unifying enough that it still has this power, but it needs to be reinforced. A lot of its strength has been chipped away. And so I think that interviews like this, where one guy who clearly holds a vastly different worldview than the other guy invites said other guy onto his show, knowing full well how strongly they disagree on things, and you have an hour of really good discourse, really good conversation, and common ground found. So what was that common ground? The renouncement of cancel culture. Stephen A. Smith and Clay Travis both, despite being so different, renounce cancel culture. And you can find it online and watch it if you want. But basically, the reason I wanted to talk about this today is because sports needs to be the leader of bringing some of these shared virtues and values back to the forefront. And these are two men who are very near the top of their respective industry in terms of influence broadly, and especially in Smith's case, among the sports community, particularly the Black community. And I think it's important that those communities see, hey, we can have constructive dialogue with people we disagree with, and even have agreements on things with people we disagree with. That is a healthy thing for society at large, and sports being the vehicle to deliver that, albeit not the games themselves, but known sports personalities, I think is a good step toward a return to the real function and value of sports in America. And I've enjoyed watching Stephen A. kind of extend that olive branch and build a habit and a platform of, hey, yeah, I might disagree with you. Yeah, I might be coming from the other side of this, but we can still have these conversations. We need to have these conversations. And not only that, but just because I disagree with you doesn't mean I think you shouldn't be allowed to have access to a platform. You shouldn't be able to earn a living. You shouldn't be able to speak your perspective and your piece. I don't believe that. And neither does Clay Travis. And neither does Stephen A. Smith. And it is a wonderful thing to see because it reinforces so much that has been chipped away at by the divisiveness of the last 15 years. And it's been so refreshing to see. And I'm just happy to watch a personality in Smith who, I've had my disagreements with in the past, really do something that I think brings an immense value, not just to his career, but to the country at large and to the greater value of sports in this country. It's a real return to it. And, one thing about this too that I find interesting is if you're a fan of either of these guys, you're hearing in a maybe less threatening way, less accusatory way, probably for the first time in a long time, if not ever, the actual merits or thought processes of people whom hold the opposite perspective of you. Because normally these type of things occur in silos, like I said at the beginning. Normally, if you are of the mind of Clay Travis, you are found on Outkick, Fox News, Daily Wire, Drudge Report, right-leaning publications. Normally, if you're the mind of the persuasion of Stephen A. Smith, you're found on ESPN, CNN, NBC, CBS, left-leaning publications. Having them come together and talk about stuff for an hour and find common ground on such an important issue is really groundbreaking. And Smith deserves a lot of credit for putting himself out there in this way. He's appeared on a lot of Fox programming. He's invited a lot of these type of guests to his podcast. He is intentionally, I think, trying to do exactly what I'm talking about. Really extend that olive branch, build those bridges, have these conversations across ideological lines. And I think it's a beautiful thing. I really do. And it's no surprise that it's two prominent sports figures that are pulling this off, because sports has always been the unifier of the country. And those that cover sports are usually, not always, but more often anyway, less partisan and less virtualistic than those in the media who are maybe traditional hard news political commentator types. And so they're more apt to try to find this common ground. And I think they've done a masterful job. I really, truly do. And I'm very happy to see it. It's a really good thing for the country. It's a really good thing for sports. And it's why I always say, and this is the last thing I'll say on this, I've been saying for a long time, um, you can't use sports as a divider. You have to use it as a unifier. And if you're a sports fan, part of your, in my opinion, responsibility is to remain engaged with league sports and athletes who maybe you don't share ideological viewpoints with. But by removing yourself from that conversation, you are lessening one by one fan by one fan, the actual important power of unification of sports. You are voluntarily reducing its value to the country, in my opinion. And you say, well, if I don't like it, why do I have to watch it? Well, a lot of the people that I've heard, oh, I don't watch the NBA since the 90s, or I haven't watched the NFL since Kaepernick. When you really get down to it as to the why, it's because not that they lost interest in the sport, not that they find it less interesting to watch. They'll tell you that. But the real truth is, if you dig down deep and you get them in a good conversation, you find out that it's basically usually politically motivated. And what I'm saying is, if we're going to return to a more unified state, sports is going to be the vehicle that gets us there. Personalities like Smith and Travis are trying to lead the way, and it's our job to follow. And the way we can follow is by staying engaged or re-engaging with sports that we actually like, but we don't like the politics of the leagues or the athletes or whatever. And that doesn't mean we have to change our opinions. We shouldn't change our opinions unless they organically, authentically do change. But what we need to do is we need to be part of the conversation so that the unification process can actually happen. If only one side is in the audience, there's nothing to unify. And then there's no point, there's no larger value in sports beyond that. So I think it's really important for us. Our job as sports fans is to remain sports fans, remain engaged in the conversation, remain committed to following those teams and those players and those leagues, and engage in the conversation from your perspective on social platforms and on other forums. That is, in my view, our responsibility as sports fans. And it is the role of leaders in sports media like Smith and like Travis to come together, show that unity, show the fact that, hey, we're going to disagree. Maybe we're going to disagree significantly and intensely, but we can find some common ground on certain things and leave respecting each other despite that we don't agree. And then if enough of that happens for long enough in big enough forums, you'll start to see it in the leagues. You'll start to see it in some of the other sports media, and you'll start to see it on Main Street. But none of that happens if we don't do our part. And our part is to remain engaged in the conversation, remain part of the pool of people to be unified versus voluntarily siloing ourselves and removing the power of sports to once again heal this country. So that is my take, and I give Smith and Travis a lot of credit for kind of taking a small step in that direction. All right, so we're going to take a break. When we come back, we have we have our two Bombers players of the week, and that's going to be a lot of fun. We also will play later on two Bomber coaches, Sean and Elena, so that'll be an hour two. That's what's on tap the rest of the way. It's the Gary Ayd Show here on The Cave.
Coffee Lovers Middletown is now officially home to the home run of our favorite beverage, Days Coffee. Days' patented blend contains approximately 85% less caffeine than other coffees, which makes it better for you, yet unlike decaf coffee, still gives you that great pickup and tastes amazing. Formulated by a retired cancer pathologist, Dr. Grant Lee, Days Coffee is fermented with a patented enzyme that until now required a complex and thus expensive sourcing and production process. With Dr. Lee's formulation, this enzyme's great health benefits can now be brought to your cup quicker, easier, and cheaper than ever before. Here's how you get a hold of this game-changing cup of joe. Go over to RadioOnlyDeals.com and get a $4 gift certificate to Days Coffee for just $2. That's RadioOnlyDeals.com to buy your single-use digital gift certificate for Days Coffee. RadioOnlyDeals.com. That's RadioOnlyDeals.com. Enjoy the preferred coffee of the Gary Ayd Show. Enjoy Days Coffee.
Are you like me? You have health insurance, but you don't have dental insurance. Do you need to get to the dentist right away? Maybe you need an implant or some other major service. Well, I found a dental insurance plan that's just right for you. It's called Spirit Dental. Spirit Dental offers a $100 lifetime deductible, a huge network of dentists. And here's the best part. There's no waiting periods. Yeah, that means you can call right now and have real dental insurance for you and your family tomorrow and get that immediate coverage you want. Spirit Dental has plans for just a few dollars a day, up to $5,000 annual maximum, and coverage for implants. Whatever age you are, the dental insurance you need is a free phone call away. Now don't wait, and be sure to ask about Spirit's vision plan. Here's the number: 800-631-9229. 800-631-9229. That's 800-631-9229.
Hey friend, life happens and you need money. What do? You call the special toll-free number we're about to give you. We will send you a link to your phone with details on how you can loan up to $5,000. Couldn't you use $5,000 to pay for your rent, pay grocery bills, get your car repaired, or whatever you need? It's up to you. We don't care. We're just here to lend you the money. And we'll lend people money with good, bad, or no credit at all. Of course, some terms and conditions apply, and you'll see those on the link we're going to send you. So if you need up to $5,000 maybe as soon as the next business day, call this number right now. We will text you a free link with details.
Paid for by Money Mutual. Call 800-586-7112. 800-586-7112. 800-586-7112. That's 800-586-7112.
All righty, welcome back to the Gary Ayd Show here on The Cave, and we are joined now by one of the OC Bombers Players of the Week, Maddie Taggart. We had her mother, Amy, on recently during our coaches interview. She's with us here again today, but let's bring Maddie on here. How's it going?
Good.
Nice to have you. Thanks for joining us. So congratulations on a great game this week and really a good season so far. How long have you been playing softball?
2 years. 2 years.
2 years. Okay, awesome. And were they both with the Bombers?
First year travel. First year travel.
All right, very good. That's cool. How do you like the travel? How much of an adjustment has that been for you?
A big one.
Yeah. What's been the hardest thing to adjust to?
Much more competitive. More competitive. Speak up. Speak up.
More competitive, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. How's that? How have you enjoyed the actual traveling part of it?
I like it.
Awesome, good stuff. What's your favorite part about softball?
Hanging out with my teammates.
Have you made a lot of friends playing softball in these 2 years?
Yeah.
Yeah. When do you guys do the most like talking or socializing? Is it during the trips or maybe like in the dugout during the game? Like when do you guys really get a chance to bond?
In the dugout.
Awesome. And practice and stuff. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Now, what position do you play?
Pitcher and second.
Do you have a preference? Do you like one more than the other?
Pitcher.
Why do you like pitching so much?
Because I get to help everybody out.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Who's your favorite softball player?
I don't know.
Okay, good enough. I don't know either. So we're on the same page there. Do you have a favorite memory from your first couple of years? Like maybe a particular play or a game that you really enjoyed?
No.
It was probably this weekend, no?
Oh, yeah.
What happened this weekend? Tell me.
I struck out 8 batters on Friday with no runs scored. And then we had a tie game on Sunday, and we lost by 1.
Wow. Good job. So that's a heck of a weekend. Of course you should remember that. That's awesome. All righty, cool. Well, Maddie, I just want to ask your mom a couple of things real quick, if you don't mind.
Okay.
Hi, Amy.
Hi, how are you?
Good. So we covered this a little bit when we spoke, but just coaching and having your daughter have a game like that, what was that experience like for you?
It's tough to be on both sides of it. Friday night when she had the 8 strikeouts and the no-hitter, that isn't stressful because she was just on a roll and the game wasn't close, and that's just fun, and we're happy for her. Sunday, when it's a nail biter of a game and the winning run was on second with 2 outs and she is the pitcher, that's a lot of pressure as a mom and a coach to hope that everything goes the way you would like it to go. And not so much that we put that pressure on her. We just don't want her to be disappointed if it doesn't go the way it should, you know?
Yeah, no, of course. And yeah, being on two sides of that is very, I can imagine that's got to be difficult. What's been the biggest adjustment for you having your daughter in travel ball this year?
Oh, it's a huge commitment, and we spend a lot of time at the facility practicing, a lot of times at tournaments, and my husband and I both help coach, plus we work full-time jobs, so we are always running to the field, it seems like. But both my girls play, and I wouldn't have it any other way.
Yeah, no, that's really cool. Last thing, what's been the I guess the adjustment to the competition? Putting on your coaching hat here, what have you observed with your daughter this year in terms of adjusting to the higher level of competition she mentioned earlier?
It's a whole new ball game this year. Travel ball is completely different than your hometown Little League. And it's tough for the kids to transition to that as well, because the kids are used to, everybody plays wherever they want. And now that's no longer the case. You play where you are the best for your team to get the best possible outcome. And we do still try to play everybody, but your core is going to stay in because you need to try to get the W no matter what way you can in a tournament play. And that is very different from what these kids are used to, especially at this age, because they are so young that all they know is Little League and coach pitch and that kind of stuff. And now this is the real deal, and we want to win if possible, Yeah,
no, that makes a lot of sense. And I just want to ask your daughter one more thing.
Okay, she's here.
Alrighty. Hey, Maddie, last thing for you. What are you most looking forward to the rest of this season? Is there a particular game or a date that you're excited about?
No, just pitching.
Just pitching. How often do you get to pitch?
I have to tell you, I can kind of answer this.
Okay. Yeah.
I have a team of 12 girls, and about 6 of them think they're pitchers, and at this age, that happens a lot because they're all learning. And at this point, you have to use, and they probably all are pitchers. It's just who's ready for the moment and who's not.
Mm-hmm.
So when we have scrimmages and stuff, I let all the girls pitch and we rotate them around. But this weekend, I only use 3 pitchers in the tournament because I have to go with the ones that are ready for that moment and that pressure. And I'll be honest with you right now, Maddie is the most. She handles it well. She handles it for a girl much older than 10 years old.
Oh, there you go. Good stuff.
And there isn't a lot, like that's hard at that age. And they'll all get there. All get there. It's just who learns the quickest, who can handle the pressure, and it'll be fine. But right now, if we have a scrimmage, I usually don't pitch Maddie too much. To be honest with you, because she's my kid, when she has lessons, I know how she's progressing. I have to watch the other kids that aren't my own, so I know where they're at. So come game time, I know if they're ready.
Makes a lot of sense. Okay, well, hey, Maddie, congratulations again. Great job on the great game. Amy, thank you as well, and we'll talk to you guys soon, okay?
All right, thank you.
Thank you. This is the Gary Ayd Show. Back to this here on The Cave.
Coffee Lovers Middletown is now officially home to the home run of our favorite beverage, Days Coffee. Days patented blend contains approximately 85% less caffeine than other coffees, which makes it better for you, yet unlike decaf coffee, still gives you that great pickup and tastes amazing. Formulated by a retired cancer pathologist, Dr. Grant Lee, Days Coffee is fermented with a patented enzyme that until now required a complex and thus expensive sourcing and production process. With Dr. Lee's formulation, this enzyme's great health benefits can now be brought to your cup quicker, easier, and cheaper than ever before. Here's how you get a hold of this game-changing cup of joe. Go over to radioonlydeals.com and get a $4 gift certificate to Dave's Coffee for just $2. That's radioonlydeals.com to buy your single-use digital gift certificate for Dave's Coffee. Radioonlydeals.com. That's radioonlydeals.com. Enjoy the preferred coffee of the Gary Ayd Show. Enjoy Dave's Coffee.
All righty, welcome back to the Gary Ayd Show here on The Cave, and we are talking with Kate Farrell here. She is part of the OC Bombers 12U squad, her second year. Hey, Kate, how's it going?
It's going good.
Awesome, good to have you here, and congratulations on being one of our players of the week. I want to get started with just a little bit of your background. How long have you been playing softball?
I would say I've been playing softball for about 7 years, I would say.
Oh, so you started pretty young then.
Yeah.
And how long have you been with the Bombers?
This is my 3rd year.
Awesome. And besides the Bombers, what have you played? What is it, like Little League or school, like modified? Like what are the other places you've played?
Yeah, so I've been playing Little League since I was pretty young. But now I'm playing JV at Chester.
At Chester, awesome. Yeah, I went to school right up the road. I'm a Goshen graduate, so yep. So we used to play Chester, and I was a basketball player. So
yes.
But all right, very cool. Now let me ask you, what is the biggest difference between playing with the Bombers and say playing either a JV or Little League? Like what's the biggest difference?
I would say probably the amount of things you learn and the amount of effort people put in. Like when you're on the Bombers, it's a lot of training and a lot of like learning how to do stuff a specific way. But when you're on like Little League, it's just like beginning. And when you're on school, it's not that it's just fun, but it's not as competitive as when you're in travel.
Do you feel that when you finish up a Bomber season and then go play your school season, do you feel that you're like more ready than a lot of your opponents because of that?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, I would imagine so. And what would you say is the percentage of people that you either play with or against on the school teams that also play travel? Like how many people do both, as far as you know?
I would say half my team plays on other travel teams around the area, but like now there's a lot of people joining travel either like now or they've been playing for a few years. So it's definitely gotten better with that.
It's grown. Okay. That's very cool. Now what positions do you play?
I play outfield. I play third. I catch. I play really anywhere they put me.
You go all over the place. Do you have a favorite spot or a place you feel most natural or comfortable?
Probably catching or left field.
That's an interesting. You see that combination a lot in at least in baseball, where someone who plays catcher is also an outfielder. And I'm curious, are there? I mean, the position seems so different, but I see it happen all the time where people play both. Are there some commonalities to playing the outfield versus catching that make it common for people to do both?
Definitely, I would say, because you have to see from both perspectives, you get to see the whole field, so you know exactly what's going on everywhere.
That makes sense. So you get a big picture versus if you're playing second base or shortstop or whatever, you kind of have your back to 2/3 of the game.
Yes.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. What's been one of your favorite memories or moments, games, whatever, since you've been a member of the Bombers?
I would say most recently, I hit a grand slam this tournament.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Was it one of those, did you know it was gone right when you hit it? Like, take me through that play.
Not at all. I actually thought I was going to get out. I thought they caught it. I was ready until I heard everyone screaming. And
that's great. So it just made it over the fence then, or what?
It was about like 5 feet over, 6 feet over. So.
There you go. What part of the field did you hit it to?
I hit it to deep left and center, like in the gap.
In the gap,
guess.
left center gap. Yeah. Okay. Are you a right-handed hitter?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So you pulled it pretty good. That's good. That's awesome. That's really cool. Where were you in the game when that happened? Did it give you guys the lead? Were you blowing them out? Like, what was the score when you hit that?
We were actually down by 8, so that then we got 4, and it almost started up the game. Like everyone started hitting. We at the end of the game we tied.
Oh wow!
So it was a really good start.
It was a momentum swing. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. That's really awesome. One other thing I was curious about. Do you have a favorite player, professional player that you kind of try to emulate or somewhat look up to professionally?
Yes, I would say in college softball, definitely I want to hit like Jocelyn Allo.
Okay, where does she play?
I think she plays I think she plays in Oklahoma.
Okay, got it. Cool. All right, what about her batting approach appeals to you so much?
I don't know, just something about her that she's an extremely like consistent hitter, and she's hit a lot of home runs, and she's a very all around player.
Yeah, that's really cool. I want to ask your mom just 2 or 3 things real quick before we finish up. Okay.
Yes.
Alrighty. Hey, Jillian.
Hey, Gary, how are you?
Good. So, I just was curious, from your perspective, do you have any older children who have gone through travel before Kate, or is she your first to go through a travel program?
No, she's actually my youngest of 3.
Okay.
I have a daughter, Caroline, who's 18. She's in her first year of college, decided not to play.
Okay.
But she is also a catcher and played at Chester Academy. She did the travel thing for a while when she was 12 or 13, but she really got a lot from playing for her high school, so she decided to focus on that. And I also have a son, Rory, who is 16, and he has played travel basketball. He plays for Burke Catholic High School, and he also plays football. Okay. So we are a sports family, Gary.
I see that. That's very, very cool. Yeah. So what would you tell someone who maybe is putting a child into a travel program for the first time? You've done this a lot. So you, from your experience, what would you tell them to be prepared for and what they're getting into if it's their first go around?
Well, they should be prepared to live in their car a lot. Start there.
Get an Audible subscription.
Yeah, I hope you enjoy fast food because you're pretty much going to be gone from 4 PM till 8 o'clock at night every day.
$5 nuggets.
Listen, that's part of it for sure. Okay. But it's been a really great experience, specifically with the Bombers. They're a great organization to be part of. But travel in general is, listen, if you want your child to become a better player, if they want to become a better player themselves, because really that's the most important thing. They have to want to be there. Yes. As they get a little bit older, like if you're putting your child into travel at 7 or 8 years old, it's not going to be as intense as if they're a little bit older. Like Kate's second year at 12U, I've noticed that they've become a much better team, a much more consistent and together team than they were maybe their first year of 12U. But they have all really learned a lot. And they've become all around better players. And, specifically, we're talking about softball today. But if you are looking to get your child into any sort of a travel sport, they're going to become better at their craft at the end of the day, which is what everybody wants when they do this with their children.
Yep, makes perfect sense. And my last question for you, what's been, I guess, the biggest, at what age have you observed the biggest jump in intensity within travel? From what
definitely, Gary, I'm going to say 12. I'm going to say this age right now.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
Yeah. So Kate is in the 7th grade.
Yep.
Like she told you, she's been with the Bombers. This is her 3rd season.
Yep.
But even watching the team as a whole last year compared to this year, and you have to remember that they're really at the beginning of their travel season. We have a lot of tournaments coming up going into the summer. You can see the difference listen, they've grown, right? They're stronger. They've been working all winter, 2 to 3 days a week, just working and getting better. So the jump from young 12, which was more of an you, to older, there's some, Kate will be 13 in October. You see a huge difference.
So there really is no off season with this. You're spending
There's not.
Yeah.
Yeah. You try to take August off, once you finish your tournaments. We have one the first week in August. Actually last week in July, really. You take August off and you go back out again.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
It's busy. You gotta listen, you gotta love it.
Yes.
And your player has to love it. We've never wanted to force our kids to do anything. Like I mentioned, my older daughter didn't want to play in college. She loves softball, it's her heart and soul. But she's like, I need a break. I've been playing for a long time. And you have to leave that in their hands.
Right.
Yeah. It's important for them to love it.
Yeah. That makes perfect sense. At the end of the day, sports are supposed to be fun, right? Like
Absolutely.
That's the whole thing. Makes sense. All right. Well, thank you, Jillian. I got 1 or 2 more things left for Kate.
All right.
Hey, Kate. So what would you say you're most focused on this year? It sounds like you're doing a lot of training all year long. What are you spending the most amount of time trying to improve right now?
Well, right now I've been trying to improve, like I said, my hitting. I got a hitting coach, and I have definitely, in my eyes, improved a bit. I'm also trying to improve on my infielding and catching all around.
Okay, that makes perfect sense. Very good. Cool. Well, and I guess my last question is, have you started thinking about how long you want to continue to play softball? Like, do you want to play? I'm guessing in high school and maybe even college.
Yes, I keep wanting to play throughout my high school and college. I want to my dream college is UNCW, so that's really where I want to head when I'm older.
All right. Well, keep up the good work and best of luck this year. I hope everything works out for you. Okay.
Thank you.
All righty. Thank you, Kate. Thank you, Jillian. This is the Gary Ayd Show. Back after this here on The Cave.
Do you own a timeshare? Well, face the facts. You made a mistake. You made a bad purchase. A timeshare is not an investment. It's a money pit that continues forever. If you use your timeshare, that's great. But if you don't and you want to legally get out of your contract, call my friends right now at the Timeshare Exit Hotline. They're an experienced team of lawyers who help good people like you get out of a timeshare contract that they just don't want. Don't throw away your money on maintenance fees. Use it for things you really want. We can help you end your timeshare contract and stop the money drain immediately. If you're ready to move on with your timeshare, call our team right now.
Cancel your timeshare now with a free call. 800-741-9557. 800-741-9557. 800-741-9557. That's 800-741-9557. If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. Ouch! Well, by wearing a small remote device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers. If you administer insulin 3 or more times per day or use an insulin pump, call now and learn how a CGM can help you.
Painless. No more pricking my finger.
No finger pricks.
Convenience. They delivered it free and they took care of all the paperwork.
You can reduce pain right away. Plus, it's accurate, easy to use, and helps you spend more time in range. And if you have insurance, you can get a new CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost. Call now and get free shipping of your new CGM. Plus, we'll bill your insurance for you. 800-826-5884. 800-826-5884. 800-826-5884. That's 800-826-5884.
All righty. Welcome back to the Gary Ayd Show here on The Cave. And I'm joined now by Doug Rush. He is a Giants reporter and insider. He's been published in, among other places, Bleacher Report, been on the beat for a while. In fact, something really cool just happened. I noticed this, Doug. You got your tweet retweeted by none other than the first topic of conversation today, the one and only Saquon Barkley. That must have been pretty cool.
Well, it's kind of surreal when you wake up and, give my daughter her morning bottle, and all of a sudden I'm getting all these messages that, Saquon Barkley's retweeting you. I'm just like, wait, what? And which literally led to the NFL Network mentioning it as well. I'm like, what is happening? Like, I'm just.
So you're famous now. I'm talking to Elvis here.
Well, I mean, Elvis is dead. But that's okay.
Yeah, it depends who you ask, but yes. That's good. That's really cool. I had a friend who now is in Texas. He years ago had written something on Twitter about Geno Smith when he was still with the Jets, and the Daily News, I believe it was, actually used his tweet on their back page one morning. So he's just like a random guy, it's really funny. So
it just shows that you never know who's watching and what's out there on social media. And all of a sudden something could blow up like that. And it's just it's kind of like for anybody. You never know who's looking and watching, and all of a sudden, you could go viral for something really small.
For something random. No, that's very true. So all right, well, let's start with Barkley as a topic of conversation. I have to tell you, I mean, maybe you can make this make sense to me. I've been wrapping my brain around this. Daniel Jones is an okay quarterback. He's decent, but he's only as good as Barkley is great. And to me, signing Jones to the contract they put him under and now playing sort of hardball with Barkley, I know quarterbacks are the thing and running backs are considered a dime a dozen, but I really believe there's a handful of backs, probably 4 of them, of which Barkley is unquestionably one, that really moved the needle. And it's my opinion, Doug, that this Giants offense, and Jones specifically, is no good if Barkley's not great. Like, what are they doing here?
Well, I agree. Saquon is, the thing I've argued with so many different people on social media is that people try to say running backs are a dime a dozen. And the Giants have had those backs. They've had a Devontae Booker, and they've had Paul Perkins, and they've had Rashad Jennings, and they've had all these, they have a Matt Breida as a backup, but Saquon Barkley is not that back. Saquon showed clearly coming off of an ACL injury and also spraining his ankle in 2021, coming off these injuries, that he can still be one of the best backs, if not maybe the best back in the NFL. The problem, though, is one, they had to get both of them signed because they didn't want to go digging for a quarterback again, especially after a playoff year. And 2, unfortunately for Saquon, the running back market plummeted. And unfortunately, his agency decided to gamble and lose when they rejected that offer they had at the trade deadline for $12.5 million per year. And now for a lot of the running backs, the market is anywhere between $6 and $8 million, and Saquon's better than that. And he's got the franchise tag at 10.1. They can still negotiate until July with the non-exclusive franchise tag. It's a matter of the Giants and Saquon finding common ground and finding a middle where both are happy with it. It's just, right now Saquon's not happy. He's on the franchise tag because he wants a long-term deal, because the running back life in the NFL sometimes just doesn't go the way you want. We saw it with Ezekiel Elliott getting cut, and right now he's still unsigned. Austin Eckler's dealing with it with the Chargers. Dalvin Cook might get traded or cut. Joe Mixon as well with the Bengals. So, Saquon's trying to capitalize on a great year, and also he wants to be a Giant and also stay in this media market in New York / New Jersey. So, I think eventually the Giants do realize that a lot of their offense goes through Saquon. As good as a quarter, of the year that Daniel Jones had a quarterback, a lot of his success is built through having Saquon as the guy that's playing behind him. So
right. Well, that's my whole thing, Doug, and that's the whole problem I have with the Giants' priorities here. I understand they don't want to go digging for a quarterback, like you said, but I mean, Jones to me, I mean, even he gets credit for having this great year. What did he throw? 15 touchdown passes? I mean, it wasn't much.
15, it wasn't much. He also had 7 rushing touchdowns too, and a lot of his success was not as much in the air. I think part of that was with the receiving core he had.
Yes.
But also, he was allowed to. He ran a lot more with the football with 700 yards, 7 touchdowns. And I agree with you. I think for Jones to have success too, I think you have to have Saquon.
You have to, especially as you mentioned, that receiving core being, less than exciting. I mean, that even makes it more important to retain a guy like Saquon. I mean, because Jones' completion percentage and lack of turnovers, which are his strongest suit this past year, you can draw a straight line to those between the fact that you had the constant threat of Barkley and defenses had to play for it, and you were converting a lot of 2nd and 4s and 3rd and 1s all year.
No, I agree, and I've a lot of the Giant fan base is they're trying to either turn on Saquon because how dare he think for himself and want to provide for himself and his family, but at the same time this a lot of people forget this is still a business and this is where feelings can get hurt. Yes. But at the same time, I think in the end, the Giants know that they need Saquon, and Saquon wants to be a Giant.
Yeah.
And I think, and people forget, the whole entire offense was down in Arizona, with Saquon, with Daniel Jones, and everybody else getting ready because Saquon hasn't signed the franchise tag, and he's not the only one who hasn't signed his tag yet.
Sure.
So he technically cannot be there.
Right.
I think in the end, this will all work out because Saquon cannot afford to sit out and miss a year with his age. Coming off the year he did, still wanting to get a long-term deal. And at the same time, the Giants can't afford to have their best skill player sitting out for the year and unhappy. So I think eventually between now and July 17th, this all gets worked out. It's just a matter of the two sides finding common ground on a deal. And it also matters who blinks first.
Yep. Yeah, it makes sense. Okay, let's move on to Jones. He gets the big contract. We know the quarterback market is if you have a pulse and you've played in the NFL as a starting quarterback, you're guaranteed $30 million these days per season, it seems. What's your sense of, did we already see the best of Dan Jones, or can he still get better?
I think he can still get better. I mean, he hasn't had a true number 1 wide receiver, and I'm not counting Kenny Golladay, who was a shell of himself in the 2 years that he was in New York.
Yeah.
I mean, his best receiver has been Darius Slayton, who's a good receiver, but the wide receiver will likely be a target in this draft coming up, whether it's going to be in the 1st or 2nd round. The fact that he was able to cut down on turnovers, the fact that he didn't fumble and cut down on interceptions, and I think just being able to play in Brian Daboll's offense, I think we're seeing a better, Daniel Jones play a better version of himself, and I think he can get better. And the Giants are banking on that, considering the contract they gave him.
Yeah.
now he actually has to go and do it. And at the same time, Daniel Jones has been in the performance center working his tail off down in Arizona with the entire offense, trying to get a rapport with all the new guys and the same guys that have come back to the team. So I think he can get better. And I mean, it shows that he can, win games, help get the Giants to the playoffs. And he helped them win their first playoff game since the Super Bowl that they won back in 2012. Now he actually has to go and do it. And I think this will be a true test of whether Daniel Jones deserves, that contract he just got from the Giants last month.
Yeah, no, it's definitely, I mean, like you said, they're banking on it. So you keep your fingers crossed. That's for sure. Now, let's talk about the draft. You kind of alluded to it. Certainly, as you mentioned, wide receiver has to be a priority. What other areas do you expect the Giants to kind of kick the tires at in this year's draft?
So there's been like 3 or 4 categories the Giants can definitely look at. And, wide receiver is probably one of the most obvious ones given, they hadn't made a trade for a number 1, despite the fact they were linked to guys like DeAndre Hopkins. They signed, guys like Paris Campbell. They brought Darius Slayton back, but they're still missing that true number 1. And given the way that everything's going, I think they're going to look to the drafts for that number 1, whether it's going to be in round 1 or 2. Getting a cornerback, because their secondary is very thin, and that's been a position that has been talked about as being a 1st or 2nd round pick for them as well. And definitely the offensive line and particularly center. They only have one true center on the roster. They've let, the two centers that they had on the roster, they let them go in free agency. So there's been talk that they could also look at as a center in the first two picks. And it's kind of like a constant with the Giants need to upgrade the offensive line. They were ranked 30th, and despite the fact that they were ranked 30th, they still made the playoffs. And Saquon had 1,600 total yards of offense, which is nothing short of a miracle. And if anything, that makes that should make the Giants want to pay Saquon more, given what he can do with that offensive line. So
Yes.
that's been my advocate for Saquon makes an average or bad line look better than they are. So I think center is definitely a need, just to try and, because if you have a middle of the line offensive line, that gives Saquon more of the opportunity to make holes and also to protect Daniel Jones. And you've made this $160 million investment in Daniel Jones. You've got to keep him upright so that he can either A, throw the football, or B, if he can't find anybody open, let him go and run, because he clearly showed what he can do with his legs and how much athletic ability he has on the field. So I'd say wide receiver, cornerback, and the line, and particularly center, are the areas that the Giants definitely are probably going to look at in the first 3 or 4 rounds of this draft coming up next week.
Now, last one or two things here, Doug. Talking about the receiving core, I know he's obviously not a receiver, but acquiring Waller from the Raiders, that has to move the needle. I mean, there is some concern with injuries and some off the field stuff, but this guy's a playmaker of the highest order from that tight end spot. I mean, that's a major talent upgrade for this team.
There was buzz when the Giants were acquiring him. I mean, granted, yes, there's the injury concern. At the same time, and when he's healthy, I mean, this is a guy who's had over 1,000 yards in his career a couple times, and this is not the average tight end.
No.
I mean, granted, yes, they have Daniel Bellinger, who did as good of a job as a rookie can, as a rookie tight end in the NFL, but at the same time, when you get somebody like Darren Waller, you can line him up as a wide receiver and he can go out and make plays and get separation. And that's one of the things the Giants were missing last year, was the ability for their guys to go, get out and get separated and get away and make those big plays, which is kind of like what people thought of Daniel Jones, like, oh, well, he can't make the big play. But at the same time, his receivers were slow and couldn't get away and get breakaway, especially after Sterling Shepard went out for the season and after Wan'Dale Robinson went out for the season and Kadarius Toney got traded midseason. So, having somebody like Darren Waller, a big physical body who's got speed and can make the big play, that's going to unlock a lot of Brian Dable's playbook. It's going to allow Daniel Jones to go out and throw deep. And yeah, this is a definite weapon that, granted, he's not listed as a wide receiver, but he can make big plays like a wide receiver.
Yes. No, there's no question about it. And last thing, pretty good division. Of course, the Eagles were the best team in the NFL for a lot of last year, came up just short in the Super Bowl against Kansas City. Dallas probably losing some pieces. We know Elliott, there's been some others. Where do you handicap the Giants going into this year in the NFC East and the broader conference?
Well, I mean, obviously, yes, the Eagles, were the best team in the NFC, NFC East. And, despite, they lost some players in free agency too, but they're still expected to be the better team. I mean, the Giants, in a year where they were expected to be a rebuild, and in year one of the rebuild, still went 9-6-1, made the playoffs and won a playoff game. So now, you think they get better in, through free agency, through the draft. They have the NFL Coach of the Year with Brian Dable, and they're bringing back key pieces. I expect Barkley to be back. You expect Daniel Jones to get better, at least hope he does. I would say the goal is not to try and be better than the Eagles, although obviously you want to. But I'd say the goal is to try and get a little bit better than you were last year, so, and at least maybe shoot to get better than the Cowboys. So if you can win 10, maybe 11 games and still try to get to the playoffs and try to do something, magical in January, I think that's the goal. And, that's not, that's, if you think of some of the Giants' losses, which were, less than 4 points, and, maybe they don't win 9 games, maybe they win 10, 11, 12, depending on some of the, the way some of the losses go. the sky is the limit right now for the Giants because it's no longer picking in the top 10 or the top 5 of the draft. It's now, you're picking 25th because you were a playoff team and you won some games. So now it's looking to get better and improving. And I think, that's the goal, like to get a little bit better than you were last year and maybe to get better than the Cowboys and to try and see if we can cut into some of the Eagles' momentum from last year.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, it's certainly nice to go into a season for the first time in, God, it feels like over 10 years. It probably is, where at least one, if not both of the New York teams have a sense of, you know what, they're going to be solid this year. I think the Giants are ahead of the Jets, but I think the Jets, assuming they do something at quarterback, are probably in a decent spot too. So it's nice to be a New York football fan again for the first time in a decade.
Oh, it definitely. I mean, it's been a while since both the Giants and the Jets are good, and then it's what New York football fans can feel good about, that they're not picking in the top 5 like they were a year ago. They're actually picking decent, and for the Jets' sake, their hopes on getting the Aaron Rodgers trade, which I know is going to create a huge buzz for the green side of things. But if you're a New York football fan, you have a lot to feel good about with both teams.
Thank goodness. It's been a long time. All right. Well, cool. Thank you, Doug. We appreciate the time, and maybe we'll get to do this again.
All right. Thank you so much, Gary. You take care of yourself.
Thanks, man. You too. That's Doug Rush, Bleacher Report, and other platforms he's been published in. Recently had a tweet retweeted by Saquon Barkley, like we said at the beginning of the interview. Really cool stuff. We're going to take a break. Hour 2 is upon us. The Gary Ayd Show rolls on after this here on The Cave.
Home to the home run of our favorite beverage, Days Coffee. Days patented blend contains approximately 85% less caffeine than other coffees, which makes it better for you, yet unlike decaf coffee, still gives you that great pickup and tastes amazing. Formulated by a retired cancer pathologist, Dr. Grant Lee, Days Coffee is fermented with a patented enzyme that until now required a complex and thus expensive sourcing and production process. With Dr. Lee's formulation, this enzyme's great health benefits can now be brought to your cup quicker, easier, and cheaper than ever before. Here's how you get a hold of this game-changing cup of joe. Go over to radioonlydeals.com and get a $4 gift certificate to Days Coffee for just $2. That's radioonlydeals.com to buy your single-use digital gift certificate for Days Coffee. Radioonlydeals.com. That's radioonlydeals.com. Enjoy the preferred coffee of the Gary Ayd Show. Enjoy Days Coffee.
Are you like me? You have health insurance, but you don't have dental insurance. Do you need to get to the dentist right away? Maybe you need an implant or some other major service. Well, I found a dental insurance plan that's just right for you. It's called Spirit Dental. Spirit Dental offers a $100 lifetime deductible, a huge network of dentists. And here's the best part. There's no waiting periods. Yeah, that means you can call right now and have real dental insurance for you and your family tomorrow and get that immediate coverage you want. Spirit Dental has plans for just a few dollars a day, up to $5,000 annual maximum, and coverage for implants. Whatever age you are, the dental insurance you need is a free phone call away. Now don't wait, and be sure to ask about Spirit's vision plan. Here's the number: 800-631-9229. 800-631-9229. That's 800-631-9229.
Hey friend, life happens and you need money. What do? You call the special toll-free number we're about to give you. We will send you a link to your phone with details on how you can loan up to $5,000. Couldn't you use $5,000 to pay for your rent, pay grocery bills, get your car repaired, or whatever you need? It's up to you. We don't care. We're just here to lend you the money. And we'll lend people money with good, bad, or no credit at all. Of course, some terms and conditions apply, and you'll see those on the link we're going to send you. So if you need up to $5,000 maybe as soon as the next business day, call this number right now. We will text you a free link with details.
Paid for by Money Mutual. Call 800-586-7112. 800-586-7112. 800-586-7112. That's 800-586-7112.
All righty, welcome to hour 2 of the Gary Ayd Show here on The Cave, cavetalkradio.com and the Cave Talk Radio app. Great to have you aboard. A lot of cool stuff today. You know what's interesting? I just got a text from Gina with the OC Bombers, one of our recent interview guests. In fact, you'll be hearing from her. Well, you heard from her already last week. Jana got her 100th college hit the other day. So congratulations to Jana. That's a really exciting factoid and statistic. That's a great milestone. Good job there. We'll be hearing from Sean and Elena, Bombers coaches, a little bit later on in about 15 or 20 minutes. But right now, it's time for the top 5.
This is the moment we've all been waiting for. It's time for King Talk Radio's Top 5.
All righty, we're back, and it is the top 5 here on the Gary Ayd Show. Thank you, Jack George. And we are talking NBA title contenders. So the playoffs are in full swing. They are making things happen. And I think it's time now that we kind of assess who are the finals contenders, who are the title contenders, what are the top 5. See, and this is actually more of a challenge than it would be in a normal year. In fact, in a lot of years, we wouldn't even be able to do this because there's only so many teams. Usually there's only 2 or 3 teams who are really finals contenders, 4 or 5 at the most. This year, you could argue there's 7 in the West alone. So there's probably a minimum of 10 teams this year that have legitimate finals and championship aspirations. So let's go ahead and list them out and then we'll rank them. So the teams that I would say are in the conversation. Let's start in the Eastern Conference because there's a shorter list. Bucks, Celtics, 76ers. That's the whole list. I don't think the Heat, the Cavs, or the Knicks have a chance to win the finals. So I think the East comes down to one of those 3 teams. Now let's go to the West. Nuggets, Suns, Clippers, Lakers, Grizzlies, all have a shot for sure. So that's 8 right there. And I'm probably missing a couple. The Kings, I am missing at least that. So that's 11. I'm sorry, that's 9. And 6 in the West, 3 in the East. Is there one more? I mean, Minnesota doesn't really, I don't think, have a shot. I guess you throw out Golden State still, although they're down 2-0. The next game is a must-win for them. But until they go down 3-0, I guess you have to still keep them in that list, although they're just hanging on by a thread. It was announced that Draymond Green will be suspended for the next game. There is also some question about whether Sabonis will play in the next game with a rib contusion. So there you have that. But we're going to go with 10 teams. So those 7 in the West and 3 in the East. That list in the West might shrink soon, though, before even the series is over. But anyway, so that's the list. So now, if I was going to rank these 10 teams, I think because it's so hard to pick among those top 3 teams in the East in terms of who's going to survive it, it's hard to have them near the top of my list because I don't have a lot of confidence in any one of them being the one that survives. I know it will be one of the 3. That I'm 100% confident of. And I'm also confident in saying that the winner of those 3 will be your champion. But picking amongst those 3, good luck. I have no idea. I lean Milwaukee, but if Giannis is hurt or hobbled, obviously that changes that. Without Giannis, they may or may not even survive Miami. I think they probably will because Hero is going to be out with that broken hand. But I don't think they'll go much further than that without a healthy Giannis. But assuming he's going to be okay, I lean Milwaukee, but I'll tell you what, Philly's impressed me. And Boston's always dangerous. But Philly has really impressed me, like a lot this year. So I'm going to go ahead and say, this is hard. I'm going to say, because in the West, it's a total, who knows? I'm gonna say I think the Clippers would be definitely among my final five. I'm not ranking these yet. Now I'm just tearing down the list from 10 to 5. I think the Bucks, the Celtics, and the um Sixers would be in that list. And then who is my last Western team? I guess I guess I'm gonna go with either the Lakers or the Kings. I think the Lakers are really good now. I really do. I'm gonna go with the Lakers. Davis is playing like a beast. You're always concerned about him with his injuries, but he is really playing like a beast, especially defensively. They have so much depth now. They remade their roster on the fly. Rob Pelinka did a great job. I mean, he should really get some executive of the year credentials, votes, whatever you want to say. So I'm going to go with the Lakers. It's hard to leave out the Kings and the Nuggets, but honestly, I just don't see it. I really don't. I think the Nuggets have too many holes on their team. I think they have too many defensive liabilities, and I don't believe in their depth. So I'm going to go and leave them off. I'm also going to leave off the Kings. I think they're just a couple of years away. I think they're going to have some issues with the Lakers or Clippers. But I think they're the toughest one to leave off for me. If I had like 6 spots on my 5, they would be the next team. I like the Kings a lot, but I'm going to leave them off. So the final 5 we're going with: Lakers, Clippers, Bucks, Sixers, Celtics. Those are my top 5 NBA Finals contenders. Now putting them in some kind of order. This is where it's mission impossible, because I don't feel great about any particular team of the initial 7 coming out of the West. And so I don't even know that I necessarily have the team that will eventually come out of the West in my top 5, which of course I had the Clippers and Lakers with the 2 Western teams. So there's that. And then even among the teams that I've brought to my top 5, I have no idea. And in the East, those 3, like I said, good luck picking which one's going to beat who. And then, I mean, they're probably all going to, 2 of the 3 will play each other. One of the survivor of the second round matchup will probably end up playing the other in the conference finals. So, I'll say this. I'm going to go with the Bucks as my number 1, as the most likely to win the NBA title. I just think they're the best team. I've thought that all year. As long as they're healthy, I like the Bucks. Number 2, I'm going to go with the 76ers. I think one of those 2 is going to come out of the East. I think they're both a little better than Boston. So I got one of those 2 coming out of the East. And the survivor of those Eastern teams, I think, will be your champion. Next, I guess I'm going to go Boston, because I think they're the, those 3 teams are the best teams. So I think I'm going to go Boston at 3rd. And see, the problem with the Lakers and Clippers is I actually think the Lakers are a little bit better, but for whatever reason, they are hexed by the Clippers. The Clippers have their number to such an extent. So I think for the Lakers to win, they would somehow need to avoid the Clippers in the playoffs. For some reason, they just can't beat them. So if that comes down to a LA matchup for the Western Conference rep of the finals, I got to go with the Clippers. But if they don't play each other, I'm going to go with the Lakers. So a lot depends on who they play along the way. But I'm just going to go ahead and say I think the Clippers are slightly more likely to make the finals than the Lakers. So I'm going to go with the Clippers at number 5. So that's my top 5. I got the I got to go with the Clippers at number 4 and the Lakers at number 5. I'm sorry. So that's my top 5. I'm going 1 Milwaukee, 2 Philadelphia, 3 Boston, 4 Clippers, 5 Lakers. That's my top 5. So there you have it. All right, let's take a break. We'll come back. We will continue on. We have up next our OC Bomber coaches. We have Sean and Elena. That's coming up next. It's the Gary Ayd Show here on The Cave.
Coffee Lovers Middletown is now officially home to the home run of our favorite beverage, Days Coffee. Days patented blend contains approximately 85% less caffeine than other coffees, which makes it better for you, yet unlike decaf coffee, still gives you that great pickup and tastes amazing. Formulated by a retired cancer pathologist, Dr. Grant Lee, Days Coffee is fermented with a patented enzyme that until now required a complex and thus expensive sourcing and production process. With Dr. Lee's formulation, this enzyme's great health benefits can now be brought to your cup quicker, easier, and cheaper than ever before. Here's how you get a hold of this game-changing cup of joe. Go over to radioonlydeals.com and get a $4 gift certificate to Days Coffee for just $2. That's radioonlydeals.com to buy your single-use digital gift certificate for Days Coffee. Radioonlydeals.com. That's radioonlydeals.com. Enjoy the preferred coffee of the Gary Ayd Show. Enjoy Days Coffee.
Do you own a timeshare? Well, face the facts. You made a mistake. You made a bad purchase. A timeshare is not an investment. It's a money pit that continues forever. If you use your timeshare, that's great. But if you don't and you want to legally get out of your contract, call my friends right now at the Timeshare Exit Hotline. They're an experienced team of lawyers who help good people like you get out of a timeshare contract that they just don't want. Don't throw away your money on maintenance fees. Use it for things you really want. We can help you end your timeshare contract and stop the money drain immediately. If you are ready to move on with your timeshare, call our team right now.
Cancel your timeshare now with a free call. 800-741-9557. 800-741-9557. 800-741-9557. That's 800-741-9557. If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. Ouch! Well, by wearing a small remote device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers. If you administer insulin 3 or more times per day or use an insulin pump, call now and learn how a CGM can help you.
Painless. No more pricking my finger.
No finger pricks.
Convenience. They delivered it free and they took care of all the paperwork.
You can reduce pain right away. Plus, it's accurate, easy to use, and helps you spend more time in range. And if you have insurance, you can get a new CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost. Call now and get free shipping of your new CGM. Plus, we'll bill your insurance for you. 800-826-5884. 800-826-5884. 800-826-5884. That's 800-826-5884.
All righty, welcome back to the Gary Ayd Show here on The Cave. Great to have you aboard. And we are talking now with Sean Springer. He is one of the 3 coaches of the 16U. There's 3 16U squads for the OC Bombers. He's coach of one of those 3 squads. We spoke to one of his contemporaries, Anthony Soto, last week. Now we talked to Sean. What's up, Sean?
Hey, how are you?
Good, man. Thanks for making some time with us. And I just wanted to ask you, so
anytime.
Appreciate it. Now, let me ask you this to kind of get things started. What's your own kind of history with softball and coaching?
So really got into it. I have 2 daughters, one 14 and one 10. So just bringing them up through T-ball, coach pitch, stuff like that through Little League and then over to travel. Always loved the game. So I just wanted to kind of help out and, help them get into the game, love the game, and take those lessons from the game that I did as a kid.
Now, did you play baseball or softball, I guess, throughout life?
Yeah, I played all the way up through high school, joined the military after high school, played on the Army softball team while I was traveling around in the Army. So, always kind of stayed around the game, stayed part of the game, things like that.
Very, very good. So coaching was sort of a natural outgrowth of that as your own kids kind of got into it then.
Absolutely.
That
Absolutely.
makes perfect sense. Now, how long have you been coaching with the Bombers?
This is my 4th year coaching at the Bombers.
Cool. And how is that compared to maybe some other organizations you've coached with?
I think that it's got more of that family type feel. Everybody's there to help each other out. Different coaches you can rely on. Gina, who runs the organization, is great with making sure what teams need extra help, what teams she has to pair up, work together. So I think it's very well orchestrated. I think that, there's a lot of knowledge that we can rely on across the coaching platforms. So it's just a very, tight-knit type organization where coaches can work together to make sure their teams are always getting better.
Now, over those 4 years you've been with the Bombers, have you kind of gone up the ladder in terms of age groups, or have you always been coaching at the higher age bracket?
Yeah, so I started out with them at first year 12U. We did 2 years at 12U, 1 year at 14U, and then we jumped up to 16U this year. So moving up the age bracket as we go.
What are some of the unique challenges of each level? If you could kind of summarize the 12, the 14, and now the 16, what's been different with each level as you've kind of gone up the age bracket?
So when you're young, there's a couple different aspects you have to work on, right? You got to show them the game, get them used to the failure part of the game, which is a huge part, right? Build them up to handle and deal with the failure part of the game young, so that they're really focusing and learning the fundamentals of the game, so that you could see them getting better, month over month. So I think that's a big piece when they're younger, 10U, 12U. Really focus on fundamentals of the game and also, discipline, all the things that the game's going to require as it's such a high failure rate of game. So, preparing them for that, building them up for that. And then as you go older, 14U, 16U, really continue on building that game IQ, fundamentals, continue to make them as strong as possible in the mental game of softball, and then also just always honing the skill set piece.
Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. Now, one thing I think that's sort of baked into what you just said about preparing them for the failure part of the game. I don't think people really think about this too much, but really in a sport like softball or baseball, where you do fail so much of the time, percentage wise, you could be getting better and getting worse results at the same time. Like that happens all the time. How do you deal with that as a coach? When someone's getting better, you can see them getting better, but they don't feel it themselves because maybe they're for their last 12.
Right. So exactly. And that's one of the hard parts they have to, kind of build them up to. But really what it comes down to is control what you do in practice, control your reps, feed off of those reps, and then really at the end of the day, make sure that your approach to that situation, whether it's a ground ball, fly ball, you're at bat, is something that you own. The results always can't be owned, right? You may hit a line drive to the shortstop, may fly out to deep center field on a ball that's played by a very good center fielder that day. You can't control those things, but you can control everything that leads up to it. Your approach in the box at the time, your approach to practice, things like that. So really drilling that piece in, and helping them be prepared. That way, when you leave, you may have went 0 for 3, but you said, hey, I controlled my at-bats today. I had a solid approach and I hit some balls hard at people, right? You can turn the page on that quickly, get back to work, and continue to play the game.
Yeah, it's really the only sport that's like that, where you can do everything right and it can go wrong. I mean, if you do everything right, in basketball, your shot's going to go in, right? Or, but in baseball or softball, you could do everything right. And like you said, you could hit the ball right on the screws, but it goes right into someone's glove.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And that's probably what makes this sport one of the toughest ones, definitely on the mental side. Whereas some other sports may be physically more tough, this one is definitely going to beat you up, between the years.
Oh, no question. The only thing that compares to it is golf. That's the most frustrating sport on the planet,
Absolutely.
in my opinion. The
That's
ball
correct.
sitting right at your feet, not moving, and you still can't hit it straight. And it drives you crazy. At least that's me.
No, I agree.
A couple other things. What's the team looking like this year? The 16U squad you're in charge of. What have you guys done up to this point? I know your season doesn't really get rolling until midsummer, late spring, but what have you done up to this point?
Yeah, we had a really good fall. We trained really hard over the winter. Great group of girls. Pretty much everybody's returning. Very, very strong team. I expect good results this summer from them. They put a lot of work in over the winter. They're kind of all out with their school teams now.
Yep.
But I have no doubt that they're being successful there, and we'll try to get them together, 3 or 4 times throughout the school season, just for some bonding, some quick swings, things like that. Keep them focused, keep them mentally sharp. But I expect good things from them come summertime.
Last couple of things here, Sean. What kind of attrition rate, if any, have you observed as you've gone up the ladder? Like girls that maybe are playing school ball that maybe had played Smash at earlier. Had played with the Bombers at an earlier time, and now maybe aren't anymore. Versus the ones who maintain their commitment to the Bombers even into their school and high school years. Like, what would you say that fall off is?
Not so bad. We've had a couple that have kind of not continued on with the game. They play just school ball. Have kind of dropped travel softball from their life for various reasons. But for the most part, we've kind of kept the same crew from first year 12U and moved them on. But it does happen, it's sad, but at the end of the day, you got to be 100% committed to the things you do. And if you're not, we respect those decisions at the end of the day.
That makes perfect sense. And when do you guys, last thing, when do you guys kind of get going? When's your first full tournament?
We are June 10th down in a big travel tournament in I think it's Pennsbury, New Jersey, East Coast Showcase. So that'll be a big one for us. A lot of teams, a lot of good teams. So it'll be an exciting way to kick off the summer.
All right. Well, hey, best of luck with it. Thanks for spending some time with us. We appreciate it. Good luck this year. Okay.
Yep. Thank you.
All righty. Thank you. You too. That is Sean Springer. This is the Gary Ayd Show. Back after this here on The Cave.
Coffee Lovers Middletown is now officially home to the home run of our favorite beverage, Days Coffee. Days patented blend contains approximately 85% less caffeine than other coffees, which makes it better for you, yet unlike decaf coffee, still gives you that great pickup and tastes amazing. Formulated by a retired cancer pathologist, Dr. Grant Lee, Days Coffee is fermented with a patented enzyme that until now required a complex and thus expensive sourcing and production process. With Dr. Lee's formulation, this enzyme's great health benefits can now be brought to your cup quicker, easier, and cheaper than ever before. Here's how you get a hold of this game-changing cup of joe. Go over to radioonlydeals.com and get a $4 gift certificate to Days Coffee for just $2. That's radioonlydeals.com to buy your single-use digital gift certificate for Days Coffee. Radioonlydeals.com. That's radioonlydeals.com. Enjoy the preferred coffee of the Gary Ayd Show. Enjoy Days Coffee.
All righty. Welcome back to the Gary Ayd Show here on The Cave. And I am joined now by the head coach of the 14U Bombers squad, Elena Savaglio. She is kind enough to spend some time with us. Hello, Elena. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm doing very good. Thank you very much. And, one of the things that's interesting for you guys this time of year is your girls are all pretty much away right now doing the school ball stuff. So what does this part of the season look like for you?
Well, I'm actually playing softball myself in college. Perfect. So my girls are they're doing the same things. I'm just communicating with them over text and stuff like that. They're letting me know how school balls and stuff is going. So it's nice.
Awesome. Now, where do you play? What college do you go to?
I go to Fairleigh Dickinson University.
Oh, awesome. Very good. What year are you there?
I'm actually a 5th year.
Ah, okay. So you're doing a master's program of some kind?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. What's your area of focus?
Sports administration.
Cool. To what end are you looking to take that? What's your career ambition?
I'm actually looking to be a college coach.
Oh, awesome. Very
right.
good.
So this is like the perfect way in for me, kind of.
Oh, yeah. You're getting the right degree and you're getting the experience. Now, have you done, besides this year with the Bombers, have you done much coaching? Like, what's your coaching background?
I give lessons and that's pretty much it. I'm pretty sure I've just given lessons and stuff like that to some girls. And
what made you decide to want to be a coach? Like, do you remember, was there like a particular moment or a particular event that made you decide, you know what, this is what I want to do?
Well, really getting to college made me like know that I wanted to like pursue like a college coaching career job. I just like the atmosphere of college is just so it's so different, and it's so like energetic, and it's really awesome. And it's like until you've experienced it, you don't really know. Do you know what I mean? Like it's really intriguing.
No, that is pretty cool. Now, what's the biggest difference? What, maybe better way to phrase this? What's the biggest point of frustration or challenge for you going from playing to coaching? What was the first thing you said? Oh man, this is harder than I thought.
Well, definitely like understanding like the things that I know now, like the girls that I'm like coaching, they don't all know or realize. So it's like a lot of like basic things that I have to like go over, and it's like they just haven't been taught before. So it's definitely like a challenge to me, just going back to basics, complete basics in ways that they'll understand.
Now, can you, like, because no one likes to feel that, okay, this has been explained once, twice, three times, and I'm still not getting it. A lot of people are uncomfortable admitting that, so they'll just nod their head and say, yeah, I get it, when they really don't. Do you have a strong spidey sense for when you're getting yes to death, or is that something you're still developing?
Yes, actually, like I do. And I really encourage my girls to ask questions and talk to me if they don't understand something, just so we can all be on the same page. And it's okay to not understand something. Like, it's okay to not like get it for a little bit. But I know like a couple of my girls, like they've gotten it first tries while others have like struggled a little bit, but they've all really come around just because they're taking accountability and not understanding.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What's your do you have a specialty? I know like a lot of coaches like in other sports will have a, you know, this coach might be known for hitting, or this one might be known for pitching. What's your specialty in coaching?
Pitching.
Okay.
Yeah, I really enjoy the pitching aspect. I'm a pitcher and first baseman, so like I really enjoy getting to work with the pitchers.
That makes perfect sense. Now, when you start working with a pitcher, I mean, these aren't kids, but they're still far from full mature adults, of course. What's your starting point, you know, before you get to know a girl? Like, what's your baseline when you first start working with a pitcher?
Just understanding what they have learned and understanding the transition to what they're going to be learning, and just breaking it down from the beginning.
What is the beginning for pitching? Is it mechanics? Is it grip?
Yeah.
What is the
It's pretty much mechanics, and I say, for me personally, I think it's a lot of mentality. Like, you have to be like willing to like take failure and work through it, rather than just give up when things get hard. Just because if pitching was easy, everybody would do it. You know, it's a really hard thing to do. So you're going to go through a lot of ups and downs, and you just can't let the downs like overtake you, kind of thing.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. Now, have you had a chance, the season really hasn't started yet for you guys. Have you had a chance to work with your girls at all yet, or meet them?
Oh, yeah, I've been working with them since last September, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's been a process, but it's been a really great one. They've all come such a long way. I like, you wouldn't believe, like like it's insane. But me and Gina both like talked, and we established we didn't want just to take on any team when making this 14 team. We wanted to take on a team where we could establish these girls and really develop them and get them to where they wanted to be.
Awesome. Now, at this age, do you start having any like agendas where one girl's trying to do this, one girl's trying to do that, or is it still pretty team friendly?
It's still pretty team friendly. Yeah. I'd say. Yeah.
That's good. What's, I guess, with the Bombers specifically, is there anything unique to that organization or structure that has made becoming a coach there maybe a easier transition than it might have been elsewhere?
Oh, absolutely. Gina and Johnny, they have been nothing short of extraordinary to me, and allowing me to become a coach and transition into this process. I've known them since I was, I think, 16U. I began guest playing for them, and then 18U and 23U is when I joined their team. And they knew, like, because I knew since then that like I was into coaching, just not necessarily college, but they've just given me opportunity after opportunity after opportunity to do like what I like to do. And knowing them for so long has just made it a lot easier. they're not afraid to tell me if I am doing something wrong and I need to do something better. So I really enjoy being able to have them that sense of like criticism, I guess, you know.
Sure. Now that's pretty cool. And I guess my last question for you is, what do you define as success as a coach at this level? Is it sending girls to college? Is it winning tournaments? Or is it a specific benchmark in development? Like, what are you most concerned about? What's your definition of success for yourself coaching this particular age group in this particular organization?
This particular age group is just development right now. Most of the girls establish that they do want to go play in college, and that's our end goal. I'd say I want every single one of them. I want to be able to help every single one of them get to college and play. But right now it's just development and getting them better and getting them to the level where we are as a team, where everybody is, you know what I mean? Where everybody kind of meets this one like level together, so we can start winning tournaments and make a name for ourselves more in different areas, and just continue to develop.
Yeah. Okay. And I guess I do have one more. You kind of are in a unique position where you're still playing collegiately and now coaching a group of girls that pretty much all want to be where you're currently at. What's right? I hear all the time from parents when I'm interviewing the younger girls, the big jump in competition and just talent level between Little League and travel. Is the jump between travel and college bigger, about the same, like from your own memory? Like what's how do you prepare the girls for that?
Yeah, it's definitely a huge jump. The biggest difference from travel in high school to college is just the pace of the game. It's really, really fast in college, and just like being able to like be a player now and coach is easy for me to help the girls understand that, because some of the girls come to my games and they see how fast paced it is, and now they know, like, you know what I mean, what I expect, and it's just like, you know.
That makes a lot of sense. Well, very good. Well, and you said your first tournament's in May?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Well, best of luck. You guys got about a month or less to prepare, so congratulations. Best of luck on the rest of your season, first of all, and then your Bomber season as well.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Elena.
Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. Thank you. That is Elena. This is the Gary Ayd Show. Back after this here in the cave.
Coffee Lovers Middletown is now officially home to the home run of our favorite beverage, Days Coffee. Days' patented blend contains approximately 85% less caffeine than other coffees, which makes it better for you, yet unlike decaf coffee, still gives you that great pickup and tastes amazing. Formulated by a retired cancer pathologist, Dr. Grant Lee, Days Coffee is fermented with a patented enzyme that until now required a complex and thus expensive sourcing and production process. With Dr. Lee's formulation, this enzyme's great health benefits can now be brought to your cup quicker, easier, and cheaper than ever before. Here's how you get a hold of this game-changing cup of joe. Go over to radioonlydeals.com and get a $4 gift certificate to Days Coffee for just $2. That's radioonlydeals.com to buy your single-use digital gift certificate for Days Coffee. Radioonlydeals.com. That's radioonlydeals.com. Enjoy the preferred coffee of the Gary Ayd Show. Enjoy Days Coffee.
All righty, great to have you back. It's time now for the radio question of the day here on the Gary Ayd Show on the Cave.
High school sports officials are becoming a very rare breed. I am KO, back in a minute with your sports question of the day.
Come on. You watch the news. Be prepared to pay more taxes. Then if you owe back taxes or haven't filed in a few years, get ready. The IRS, the largest collection agency in the world, will be coming after you with the power to collect taxes by any means they want to. Hey, they can freeze your bank account, your passport, even padlock your business. Oh, good times. Look, if the IRS claims you owe them $5,000 or more in back taxes and they're coming after you, don't panic. Call my friends at Get a Tax Lawyer first. Their job is to negotiate with the IRS and save you money. They're experts at it. That's all they do, and you can trust them. In some cases, they have reduced a $50,000 tax bill to less than $1,000. If you owe the IRS $5,000 or more in back taxes, call now for a free consultation.
Call 800-661-5096, 800-661-5096. 800-661-5096. That's 800-661-5096.
A survey recently determined that 50,000 high school officials have discontinued their service since the 2018-2019 season. The National Federation of State High School Associations reports that the officiating shortage has reached the point of becoming a national crisis. Athletic Business says a number of factors have contributed to the shortage, namely the pandemic, but also the severity of unsportsmanlike behavior from students, coaches, parents, and other fans. Question for parents: are you willing or unwilling to step in to fill the officiating shortage?
You know, it's funny. My pastor at my church actually officiates baseball, and one of our colleagues here at Cave Talk Radio, David Drucker, who works on the business development side of things, he officiates basketball. I've looked at officiating both, although I have not done so yet. I think that the pandemic's a convenient excuse, but I don't think that's the driver of it. I think the second piece of this is the bigger thing, because this has been going on for a long time. This wasn't a 1 year. We had 2019, we had plenty of officials, and 2023 we have zero after coming out the other side of the pandemic. It wasn't a precipitous drop like that. It was a gradual, long-standing attrition, a drip, and that's been caused by a long-standing, consistent degradation of decorum at these games, as this question stated. It is clear to anyone that goes to amateur sporting events, high school sporting events, that parents and students are oftentimes just awful to officials. They sit there, they boo them, they yell at them. Guys, this is why I always say, people always talk about how pro athletes are role models because kids watch them and look up to them. I don't necessarily agree with that, but taking that perspective, that viewpoint, why does it not apply to the way talk radio, the way fans, the way bettors, the way everyone talks about officials in the pro ranks? Why does the whole mirroring or role modeling or tone setting argument made on behalf of professional or really against professional athletes, saying they have to act a certain way because they're role models? Why does that same logic not apply to fan and media behavior as it relates toward the way they discuss and talk about officials? You can't listen to a talk radio segment, it feels like in most cases, without hearing something. Oh, the refs are awful. This is terrible. The inconsistency is horrible. You can't miss that call, blah, blah, blah. Like, that is a common crutch among media types who hold a lot of influence in some cases. Like, why is that point of view not extended to officials? Because I believe more so than with the kids, I believe that the behavior learned by, because a lot of people that go to high school sports are also followers of professional sports. In most cases, most of them are. So I believe the behavior they exhibit at these high school events is directly learned by how they consume professional sports for many years. And they just apply it in real life at the high school level. And it's why I always say officials are off limits. I don't talk about them on this show. I won't talk about them on this show. I will not criticize them. I will not give them extenuating credit. I avoid them altogether. And the reason I do that is a couple of reasons. One, I just don't notice or care. I truly believe missed calls and good calls are as much a part of any game as missed plays and good plays. That's reason one. Reason two is because of exactly this. I believe you are feeding the problem. You are part of the problem if you consistently or even occasionally go on and criticize refs, because what you're doing is you're modeling behavior that is then being utilized at the high school level. And it is causing this slow drip, this slow decay of the roster of officials across all sports. Because I'll tell you what, these jobs pay pretty decently. You can make a pretty penny officiating high school games. You really can. But no one wants to do it because, as I like to say, you're 50% wrong 100% of the time when you're an official of any kind. And I think that this is a perfect example of how this happens, why it happens. And I think we collectively, as a sports media and as a sports public, are to blame for it. I believe this is our fault. It's not the pandemic's fault. It's not the fault of, oh, no one wants to work anymore. The young kids, they don't want to work, blah, blah, blah. No, it's our fault. We did this. Our behavior over many years has caused this. I believe the proliferation of instant replay and frame by frame angles where we dwell on these things for minutes and minutes at a time in super slow motion, analyzing it, refs in the media booths during games, especially in football, all of that stuff has contributed to a culture that just views criticizing officials and micro dissecting their in the moment split second decisions under the microscope of frame by frame slow replay with unlimited time to dissect and analyze from a million perspectives. I believe all of that has led directly to this problem. I really do. And I've always believed that. And it's one of the reasons. See, here's the thing. Because something like this requires large scale action by a lot of people, large scale behavior modification by a lot of people who don't see the problem. Just because it's likely to never happen doesn't mean that I'm just gonna say, well, since it won't happen, I'm just gonna go along with it. No, I don't work that way. Just because me not shopping at Walmart, for example, which I don't, is unlikely to change the fact that they don't hire any cashiers, that they're going to go automated, that you can't get customer service, that no one there knows where anything is. Just because me not shopping there is not going to likely change any of that, because lots of people would have to do the same thing, and then Walmart would have to notice. Just because it's not going to change it doesn't mean I'm just going to say, okay, well, then I'm going to go along and be part of the problem because, what's the point of trying to be part of the solution? I don't work that way. And I don't think anyone should work that way. If you know something is causing a problem, even if you also know that it's unlikely to be fixed because it takes dedicated action by a lot of people, it doesn't mean that gives you license to just continue to do it. Even, it just doesn't work that way. So for me, if I know something's a problem, I know criticizing refs is a problem. I know it's causing this issue. I'm sure of that. So I'm not going to be part of the problem. I'm not. Refs to me are just part of the tapestry of a sporting event. They miss calls, they make calls, and that's fine. Players miss shots, they make shots, and that's fine. Coaches make smart plays and dumb plays, and that's fine. That's just the way sports is. And I don't care if one of those missed calls or good calls happens to decide a game or come at a critical time. That doesn't bother me either. Because if it's part of the game, and it's part of the game all the time, not just up to the time when the game could be decided. So I don't care. And this whole, well, just be consistent. It's not a perfect thing. You can't be perfect. So consistency means showing up for your job and doing it the best of your ability every day. It doesn't mean, oh, okay, there's 50 calls made today, so we might make sure 25 are called against the Lakers and 25 are called against the Kings. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't. So to me, there's no such thing other than being at your job and doing your best every day as consistency. That is consistency. And refs at the professional level are incredibly consistent. They're there for 20, 30 years at a time, sometimes more, doing their job. And high school refs at one point were also consistent. And now it's hard because no one wants to deal with that. And who can blame them? Sometimes your safety's even at risk. And all of that decorum decay is, in my opinion, directly traceable to the constant criticism of refs on television and in social media and on talk shows and among sports fans viewing games. It is a direct line from cause and effect. It really is. And it's a shame. All right, we're going to take a break. We'll come back. We'll wrap things up with some news you can use. It's the Gary Ayd Show here on The Cave.
Do you want to save money on your next flight? Then pick up the phone and call. That's right, call. Because the best prices are not online. They're with SmartFares. See, SmartFares has special deals with the airlines. When they have unsold seats, they use SmartFares to fill them. So you get airline tickets at crazy low prices. They have access to great prices and discounts at over 500 different airlines. Plus 300,000 hotels and rental car companies. Their prices are too low to publish online. With the extra money you'll save, you can book another trip or treat yourself to dinner or shopping. So stop searching all of those travel sites to find the lowest price on your next flight. Let one of our SmartFares expert travel agents find the best price for you. Call SmartFares today and get ready to see the world with a fat wallet.
800-370-2460. 800-370-2460. 800-370-2460. That's 800-370-2460.
Come on, you watch the news. Be prepared to pay more taxes. Then, if you owe back taxes or haven't filed in a few years, get ready. The IRS, the largest collection agency in the world, will be coming after you with the power to collect taxes by any means they want to. Hey, they can freeze your bank account, your passport, even padlock your business. Oh, good times. Look, if the IRS claims you owe them $5,000 or more in back taxes and they're coming after you, don't panic. Call my friends at Get a Tax Lawyer first. Their job is to negotiate with the IRS and save you money. They're experts at it. That's all they do, and you can trust them. In some cases, they have reduced a $50,000 tax bill to less than $1,000. If you owe the IRS $5,000 or more in back taxes, call now for a free consultation.
Call 800-649-8617. 800-649-8617. 800-649-8617. That's 800-649-8617.
All righty, we're back here on the Gary Ayd Show. Last few minutes of the show today, about 4 minutes to go. Good to have you aboard. Gary Ayd with you. And as far as some news you can use, what can we use today? It's interesting to me that so many people claim to be not part of the NBA fan base anymore. But statistics, like I was quoting the other day, show otherwise. And that's something that's always been interesting in the sports media realm, is people say one thing and do another. It's a good illustrator of the fact that people will say one thing and do another, or television ratings and social media ratings, all that stuff. So just an interesting factoid. All right, let's take a look. What else we got here? So Draymond Green suspended for his game one stomp of Domas Sabonis. Sabonis, for his part, has a bruised sternum, I believe it was, or ribs. So he may or may not play in the next game as well, in game 3. So they might both be out for different reasons. As I said yesterday, they absolutely no one was right there. What Sabonis did wasn't right. What Green did wasn't right. The only difference is Sabonis's move, in my opinion, was clearly and obviously calculating and premeditated. He was looking for a reaction by Green, and he got it. Now, I don't know that he was counting on maybe missing time himself, but his decision was definitely calculated, while Green's was emotional and unconsidered. And that's the problem. Draymond Green lets his emotions get the better of him all the time. He's too experienced a player to do that. But he's always going to do that. He's not going to change at this point. And not only is he not going to change, but he defends it publicly. He's almost proud of it. And I just think that because of that, the Warriors are not going to win. They're not. I don't think so anyway. I don't think they're going to win this series. I really don't. So, DeMar Hamlin has been cleared to play, so that's really good. That's really awesome. Unfortunately, another bad news. Chris Smith, the former tight end for the defensive end, for the Browns, passed away at 31. No cause of his death revealed. Gee, I wonder what could have caused that. So there you go. Well, Boston and Atlanta is now a 2-0 lead for the Celtics. Cleveland tied up this series as I thought they would with the Knicks last night. They beat them pretty good. Jalen Brunson didn't play particularly well. I mean, look, this is going to be a drag it out series. This is a 7-game series. I'd be surprised if it was anything less. Bare minimum of 6. Bare minimum. This is a close series. It's going to be back and forth. This one shifts to New York now for game 3. So we'll see how it plays out. Phoenix, even their series with the Clippers, 123-109. So that is taken care of. The Lakers and Memphis play tonight. Injury to Ja Morant's hand is encouraging. The x-rays were negative. He didn't break it. So we'll see if he plays tonight. And the Mets dropped last night to the Dodgers. Clayton Kershaw picked up his 200th win in the process. So there you have it. There's some news for you. We will be back tomorrow. Good stuff today. We'll see you then. It's the Gary Ayd Show here on The Cave.